Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the Metal Junkie, and today I'm going to be ranking all 12 studio albums by Amon Amarth. If you're not familiar with this band, it's a melodic death metal band from Sweden, whose lyrics are always Viking themed, basically. So yeah, we're going to get right into this. The tiers go from S to F, masterpiece to absolute garbage, basically. And yeah, we're going to jump right in with the debut album, Once Sent from the Golden Hall from 1998. They have done an EP before this, which is pretty good too. If you want to go check that out, it's worth a listen. But yeah, starting with this debut record, it's very aggressive, very heavy. Amon Amarth being a melodic death metal band is always kind of heavy, but this one just feels just more intense, especially with the vocals and that. Very fast picking guitars, very crazy drums. The drummer for this band, for this album, I should say, left after this album and went to Opeth until like 2005 or 6. And he actually released an album with Amon Amarth in 1998 and Opeth in 1998, which is pretty incredible. Great drummer. But yeah, just a pretty solid album overall. I really do enjoy it. Not really any bad tracks on here. Looking at the track list, Victorious March is a real standout to me. I feel like that's kind of showing you a glimpse of the future of the band. Has a little bit of more of those moments of like more mid-pace sections in that. The song Amon Amarth is pretty damn badass. I like how it's like slow and like haunting. The riff in that one. Friends of the Suncross feels extremely overlooked. No one ever talks about that, but yeah, not a bad song on here. It opens strong too with Ride for Vengeance and The Dragon's Flight Across the Waves. So I really enjoy this one. Solid debut. One of the better debut albums from a melodic death metal band. I'm going to put it in B for now. I just feel like there is a few more steps after this. So just for now, I'll keep it in B. I'll move it up or down if I have to later. Now, moving on to their second album, The Avenger from 1999. And it's basically in the same vein as the debut album. There actually are moments on this album that are even better. Certain songs that really stand out to me more than the debut. But as an overall album, it just doesn't quite reach the debut's level overall, right? It has moments, but I feel like the first three albums are part of this trilogy where they all share kind of the same, that really heavy, aggressive sound, which they kind of lose a bit more later in their later albums. But the Avenger really is a great album. Like I said, there's moments that are so damn good, like Bleed for Ancient Gods, the last with Pagan Blood. Avenger, such a great track. I like how you get that slow build up at the start of it. Really cool. Metal Wrath. There's just a lot of good stuff on here. Legend of a Banished Man has some cool bass. The production's not the greatest, like a lot of their early albums, and there's only 7 tracks. You get a bonus track, Thor Rise, which is pretty cool on the remasters, but yeah, 7 tracks. This doesn't seem like enough here, but it is pretty close to the same level as the debut album for me. So I'm going to also put this one in B, but it's more like a B minus this time around, where the other one's like a B plus. Moving on to The Crusher from 2001. I feel like this is the final album in this little trilogy where we get that really aggressive early sound from the band, very raw. And yeah, the first half of this album is extremely solid. I love Bastards of a Lying Breed. Masters of War, the second half of that song just has such a badass groove to it. Man, so good. One of the best. The sound of 8 hooves. You really hear the drums on that one, the double kicks, man. They don't stop. I like to think of that as the hooves, the horses coming or whatever. So first half of this album is freaking fantastic. It's the second half that kind of drops for me. Once we get to A Fury Divine, it slowly starts to lose steam. I like certain aspects of Annihilation of Hammerfest and The Fall through Ginnup Gap, however you say that. Like, the openings of those songs are pretty cool with the riffs and that, but I kind of get bored with them after a while, so really strong first half. The second half kind of loses me on this one, so I do think it is a step down from their first 2 albums. So still a passing grade though. I'll give this one a C tier. Up next we got Versus the World from 2002, and yeah, what a great album. Now this is the Amon Amarth I love. They they're still heavy and everything. They just tweak their sound. They add more mid-tempo riffs in here and that. They're not always going 100 miles per hour with their beats. We still get sections of fast picking and everything. It's still there, but it's more varied, mixed with these more mid-tempo sections, which just makes for an easier listen. Never a dull moment from start to finish. Amazing tracks. Nothing bad here. The production could have been a little bit better. Once again, we're still not quite there production-wise, but musically, they're killing it. Opening up with Death and Fire, such an iconic track, so good. I think that was probably the first song I ever heard from this band. I never really knew about them at the time, but I remember catching the music video for it on Much Loud at late at night back in the day in like 2000. It must have been around 2002 or 2003 at the time. And yeah, that's all I really knew about the band. Never really heard from them again for a little while after. But yeah, I just love this album. For the stab wounds in our backs, where the silent gods stand guard. Versus the World. Love the lyrics in Versus the World, and that one definitely brings an intense music side to the music. Across the Rainbow Bridge, so damn epic. And again, they just hit you with these melodic hooks that just never leave your mind. They're so infectious, so catchy. Bloodshed, another great song. There's not a bad track on here. This is excellent. This is perfection to me, so it's going in S tier. This is what I'm talking about. Moving on to Fate of Norns from 2004. I hear a lot of people talk down this album and say it's not one of their better ones. I freaking love this album. Not my favorite, but still a great album to me. So many melodic hooks once again. The production actually feels like it takes a step back though. Versus the World didn't have the greatest production, but it was serviceable. This one feels very bad. It's almost worse than their original trilogy of albums. Don't know what happened there in the mixing, but the songs are pretty great. Not quite on the same level as Versus the World, but we're pretty close. I still enjoy this more than the older albums, if I'm being honest. An ancient sign of coming storm, where death seems to dwell. The title track, The Fate of Norns, so damn good, man. The Pursuit of Vikings is like, a standout track from the band. Everybody knows that one now. And yeah, it's just so iconic. Valkyrie's Ride, I feel like, is one of the band's most overlooked songs in their entire discography. Freaking love that track. Don't know how it's not a greatest hit, but the only song that doesn't do much for me on here is Arson. It's okay, but I feel like it's a little too played out and like drawn out. I feel a bit repetitive by the end, so I usually skip over that one, but everything else pretty damn solid. Really enjoy Once Sealed in Blood 2 as a closer. We're back with Fire on our album covers too. Or we never left. Yeah, we got 5 albums in a row with Fire on the cover, so this one's going to A tier. It's the next album that doesn't have Fire. But yeah, Fate of Norns, it's maybe not S tier, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close for me, and I just don't see how people don't like this album. Reaching with Oden on our side from 2006. I remember when this album dropped, it made a big splash, especially online, being on all the metal websites and that. This one, everybody was talking about it. I wasn't quite into Amon Amarth yet at the time, but I remember seeing a lot of reviews for this and people talking up like crazy. When I eventually did check it out a year or two later, I was pretty blown away too. For one thing, the production is finally there. We get a really crisp, great production, the best one to date, obviously, because we haven't had good production yet. The songwriting is top tier. They're changing it up just a bit again to keep things fresh, while also keeping like the roots, their sound, like the band's original sound intact, but tweak it enough to be not boring and not sound too familiar, if you know what I mean. And just had stellar freaking songwriting. I feel like this is where the band was starting to be noticed worldwide. They were really getting recognized. And a lot of it has to do with the songwriting on this album. I mean, the album opens up with a banger with Valhalla Awaits Me. That's more in the style of what you expect of Amon Amarth, but it's done at a really high level. Runes to My Memory is just so damn good and heavy. That's another thing. This album kind of brings back more of the fast picking that was lacking in the last 2 albums. It's like a mixture of their new sound and their old sound, but done, like I said, at such a high level. But Runes to My Memory has always been one of my favorites. Acetor, really freaking heavy. Love that one. Cool riff. Gods of War Arise with Oden on our side. So good. A lot of people love Cry of the Blackbirds. That one sounds very different from what we normally hear with this band. And with the picking and that, very unique and cool. And there's really nothing wrong with this album. It's another stellar S-tier album if you ask me. So with Oden on our side, it deserved all the praise that it got when it came out. It's not my favorite album, but it's sitting there right beside Versus the World. It's pretty damn close. Up next, we got Twilight of the Thunder God. Now, if with Oden on our side, put them on the map, this one blew them up. They were at the top of their game in popularity at this point. Friggin' adding back a little bit of fire back on their cover art, which we didn't have on the last one. We're back. But yeah, it's such a friggin' groovy album, heavy but melodic. Probably their most accessible album. If you're new to the melodic death metal genre, stick with this one. Start with this one, I should say, because it's very accessible, very easy to get into, super catchy melodies. If you say you hate this album, you must be dead inside. Like, it's okay for it to not be your favorite or whatever. You can at least acknowledge how freaking catchy it is. You can turn a lot of these songs into like 16-bit, whatever, 64-bit songs, and they sound like rave techno tracks just because of the melodies are just... You almost feel like you can dance to them. But they're still heavy, don't worry. And yeah, just a lot of featuring artists on here too, from Popcalyptica. You got Lars Gorm Petrov on Guardians of Asgard. Rupi Latvala. I'm probably screwing up all these names on Twilight of the Thunder God. So it's cool that they're bringing in a bunch of other band members in that too to collaborate with them. And yeah, just another stellar record. Love Twilight of the Thunder God. Free Will Sacrifice has such a cool groove to it and heavy. Guardians of Asgard, you know, classic at this point. And yeah, there's really no bad tracks once again. I love The Hero, Embrace of the Endless Ocean, Varyags of Miklagard. I can always have a hard time pronouncing that, but love that track. So again, we're in S-tier territory here with this era of the band. As you can see, it's my favorite era of the band from Versus the World to here, basically. So I freaking just love it. Up next, we got Surtur Rising from 2011. Now, when this dropped, I was a big fan of the band at this point. I've already listened to all their songs, so I was ready for this one. And when it came out, let me tell you, I absolutely loved it. I feel like to this day, this is probably the band's most overlooked album. I think it's because it came out beside Twilight of the Thunder God that it kind of lives in that shadow, but it shouldn't. It's strong enough to stand on its own. It's a really solid album. I just feel like this time around, it's almost a groove metal album, the way the riffs are played. Still mixed with melodic death metal, but just, yeah, a lot of groove in here, like as if it's Pantera or Lamb of God mixed with Amon Amarth or something. So I absolutely love the guitar riffs in here. They're heavy, very easy to headbang to. My only nitpick with this album, I feel like it just doesn't have the replay value that some of the other top tier albums this band has. That could be my own fault. I re-listened to it a million times when it came out. So, but to be fair, I listened to Versus the World and those other S-tier albums a million times too, and I'm still not sick of those. So just one little thing to bring it down for me, but yeah, I love it. War of the Gods, Talks Taunt, Destroyer of the Universe, it opens up so strong. Slaves of Fear has one of those riffs that I really love, as well as Wrath of the Norsemen. Both of those have really cool guitar riffs. Live Without Regrets is one of their best. I mean, again, no bad songs on here. Just very cool album. I'm going to put it at a high A tier above Fate of Norns. Like I said, I want to put it in S, but at the same time, some of these songs I've over listened to and I just can't quite put it in S tier at this point. And like I said, I re-listened to those S tier albums a million times too, but I'm still not sick of them. So for that reason, it's going into A tier, but definitely not an album you should sleep on. Up next, we got Deceiver of the Gods from 2013. Now, when this album came out, I wasn't disappointed or anything. I was a bit underwhelmed though, just because of the great run of albums we had before this. I mean, they were at the top of their game. And when this came out, it felt a bit too familiar, a bit too much like they're following the formula. But I gotta hand it to them. If the formula works, why not stick with it? Because again, it's not a bad album by any means. I just feel like they're kind of playing it safe by this point. But when I re-listen to this album, every time I'm like, wow, it's better than what my memory remembers it as. Like, I'm always thinking it's pretty good, but when I re-listen to it, I'm like, no, this is actually pretty great, you know? And again, opens up strong with Deceiver of the Gods. As Loki Falls was a song I never thought much of before, but re-listening to these albums for this ranking, it just really hit me, with especially with the tapping. It was a song I kept replaying. Even though I heard it a bunch before, it just, for some reason, clicked more this time around. Shapeshifter, Under Siege, and Blood Eagle are like three really good heavy songs in the middle of the album that has great momentum. Hell's a great one. Coming of the Tide. Pretty solid album. Nothing that can really give competition to their top tier albums, but still very good at this point. I'm putting this one at B, and I'm putting it at the high end of B this time around. Up next, we got the album Jomsviking from 2016. Hopefully pronounced that right. Had to look it up how to pronounce it. But yeah, much like Deceiver of the Gods, it's another album that I think is just okay until I re-listen to it. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's actually a little bit better than what I remembered. But still, we're slowly starting to go downhill. Again, kind of sticking with that formula for a good chunk of the album. I feel like the first half kind of plays it safe with First Kill, On a Sea of Blood, One Against All. Wanderer's really good though for playing it safe, I have to say. But once we reach Raise Your Horns, I feel like the album's starting to experiment a bit. Raise Your Horns is a great little tribute to the Fallen Warriors drinking song, and has a very like Macedon style riff to it, I find. At Dawn's First Light, to me, I think is the best song on the album. It's very power metal style, very electric guitars, and very energetic. Love that. And like I said, the second half of this album seems to be experimenting a bit more. Vengeance Is My Name is a bonus track, but it feels very thrash oriented, which I love. A Dream That Cannot Be is featuring Doro from Warlock, so that's cool that we got a little duet with the singer here. It's something we never seen before again, so at least they're trying different things. While sometimes playing the formula a little too much, they are doing some experimentation here, so I can definitely appreciate that. Keeps the album from being a bit boring. So another solid album. I think this one's a B-. I'll put it on the low side of B, but still a B. I'll actually put it ahead of the Avenger though. Up next, we got the album Berserker from 2019. Now at this point, I feel like the formula is starting to run a bit thin. It's starting to feel a little bit too familiar throughout, in the songwriting, and that you can kind of predict how the song's going to play out after listening to the first 10 seconds or so. But again, it still has its moments. I feel like, again, in the middle section, it's so good. Valkyria, Raven's Flight, and Ironside hit so damn hard, but you have to make it to that part of the album. Fafnir's Gold, Crack the Sky feels too much like in Pursuit of Vikings, where it kind of feels like they're just kind of copying what worked in the past. Doesn't quite hit as hard though, Fafnir's Gold feels a little cheesy. But yeah, Valkyria, Raven's Flight, and Ironside is what I'm here for. They're heavy, they're in your face. Love those. Yeah, Into the Dark is also another really cool song, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of okay. Not bad or anything, but it's not impressing me anymore by this point. When once again we set our sails has a really good melodic hook, once again, they still bring it in the melody department. It's just the songwriting starting to feel a bit stale at this point. The Viking themes starting to feel a bit old, kind of regurgitating stuff at this point. So still not bad. It's going in the C. Again, we're starting to drop down a bit here, but they had a good run. And lastly, we got the Great Heathen Army from 2022. They definitely changed their sound. Now, changing your sound is not always for the better. Like, they were stuck in a formula, I will admit, but there's certain songs on here that just do not work for me. Like Get in the Ring, a wrestling song. It's okay, you're moving away from the Viking themes. You're changing your melody sound and everything, but it's just so forgettable, so stale. generic even. Like, does nothing for me. The Great Heathen Army is okay, but I feel like I got bored with it real quick. It doesn't have a lot of replay value. Hate Run. When I first heard it, I thought it was so cheesy with its like folk style riff. I'm like, this sounds like a band trying to be Amon Amarth but failing. But I have to admit, that song, I warmed up to it. It gets stuck in my head all the time, and the chorus is quite infectious, I gotta say. Oden owns you all. Again, kind of heavy but generic. Find a Way or Make One, I think, is the best song on the album. The chorus hits so hard, but again, it really doesn't live up to the best songs on other albums. So Saxons and Vikings is really cool, featuring Saxon, featuring Bifford on vocals, and the solos are done by Saxon, the two guitar players. That is also a standout track with Find a Way or Make One. Some songs have potential, like Dawn of Norsemen, Skagul Rides With Me, and The Serpent's Trail all have potential. You can see how it could be really great songs, but again, they just don't reach the full potential. Cool to hear The Serpent's Trail, how it has like symphonic elements, and it almost sounds like Wolfheart, not Amon Amarth. So I gotta hand it to them when they do switch things up, but doesn't mean it's always gonna work. And at the end of the day, this is an album that I only listened to a couple times. I'm already kind of bored of it, you know. I still continued to listen to it after that, but I was enjoying it less and less. It started to feel a bit repetitive, and it's just not great at the end of the day. Not the worst album I've ever heard, but easily the worst album from Amon Amarth, I feel. Few standout moments, but it's not enough to save it. To me, it's going into D tier. It could almost go in a low C tier, but I wouldn't feel comfortable putting it up with The Crusher and Berserker, because I feel like those are much better albums. So I want to place it in D tier. And there you have it, guys. There's my tier ranking of all 12 Amon Amarth studio albums. I hope you enjoyed it. My ranking's not the right ranking. It's just mine. I'd love to see how yours plays out. What do you put in S? What do you put in F? Or you can just tell me what's your favorite, what's your least favorite. Give me all 12 if you want. Would love to see it in the comment section. This was a lot of fun. Is this one of your favorite bands? Do you not enjoy this type of melodic death metal? Let me know everything in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy videos like this. Like I said, it's just my opinion. If you don't like it, you can let me know. Just be civil about it. And yeah, I try to put out one of these rankings once a month or so, depending how many albums these bands have. And I will return with more, don't worry. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this one. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, thanks for watching.